Hello friends. So welcome to the clinical scenarios and this is your case number 26. Here we have a 65-year female coming to us who is having a complaint of sudden burst of flashing lights. So do you remember what is it? Sudden burst of flashing lights, sparking kind of effect. So this is actually the photopsia she is having, photopsia. So there is a complaint of photopsia and along with that we have blurred vision in left eye. So we have photopsia and diminution of vision on one side. Okay, these symptoms started this morning only. So again you know that there is sudden onset of these complaints. Okay. Then apart from this, she now also complains of small spots in her field. What are these spots? These are the floaters. Patient is also complaining of floaters. So I think in the back of your mind somewhere you must have started thinking about the certain things. There is a sudden onset, there is photopsia, there is floaters, diminution of vision in one eye and that too at the age of 65. Yes or no? Yes. Now there is a history of successful cataract extraction 4 months ago. Now because they are saying that there was a cataract extraction 4 months ago, so if this is something related to the cataract surgery, I can think about the complications of the cataract surgery, right? So because they are saying 4 months ago, now you know that the complications of the cataract surgery can be like if I am talking about the complications, so how could you divide it? The complications could be divided into intraoperative complications and also we have post-operative complications. In the post-operative, we have early complications as well as the late complications. So if I am thinking in this sort, what kind of complications it could be? It is most probably the late complications. So I have to think something which is related to the late post-operative complications which has something to do with the photopsia, something to do with the floaters along with the sudden onset of diminution of vision. Okay. Now her vitals are stable. Examination shows sluggish pupillary reflex, sluggish left pupil. Ophthalmoscopy reveals retinal tears. So they have broken the surprise here. Retinal tear they have told you and also a greyish appearing retina. So we have a greyish reflex. And greyish reflex means what? Greyish reflex means the retinal detachment. Okay, and they are also saying that there is a retinal tear. So what is the most probable diagnosis? Let us see the options. Choroidal rupture, retinal detachment, CRAO, exudative macular degeneration. Now if you do not know what it is, I think then also you have some clue to it because you know that choroidal rupture is not that common after the cataract surgery. CRAO is not a known complication of cataract surgery. Exudative macular degeneration, so ARMD is not related with the cataract surgery and macular degeneration will not be leading to the retinal tear or the greyish appearing retina. So exudative macular degeneration is separate. Now yes, I can say that after some time if there is lot of wet ARMD, then finally I can have exudative retinal detachment. Exudative retinal detachment, then I will not have a tear. So Plus, exudative retinal detachment is not characteristically associated with the photopsia and floaters. So, if I have a tear, I have a grayish reflex, that means most probably it's a retinal detachment, and this retinal detachment is related to the cataract surgery, it is related to the photopsia, it is related to the floaters. So, most probably which kind of RD it is? It is the RRD. It is actually RRD. So, answer to this question looks like the retinal detachment. Now, let's start talking about the complications of the cataract surgery, and we are focusing here on the late post-operative complications of the cataract surgery. So, the late post-operative complications of the cataract surgery may, if I talk about the most common is your after cataract. After cataract, also called as secondary cataract. After cataract, also called as secondary cataract, which is due to the PCO, posterior capsular opacification. So, in the posterior capsular opacification, you have diminution of vision after the initial improvement. First, there was successful cataract surgery, and then again there was diminution of vision due to the opacification of the capsule. It could be presenting in the form of Soemmerring's ring cataract or Alschnig pearl cataract. So, this does not seems to be the answer. Then I can also have the Irwin-Gass syndrome. I can also have the Irwin-Gass syndrome. Now, Irwin-Gass syndrome actually is related with the cystoid macular edema after the cataract surgery. So, after the cataract surgery, the cystoid macular edema that is developing, that means in cases of pseudophakia, that is called as Irwin-Gass syndrome. So, that is also not there, it is not cystoid macular edema. Then we can also have vitreous touch syndrome. We can also have the vitreous touch syndrome. What is this vitreous touch syndrome? If I have a posterior capsular rupture, then due to this rupture we can have vitreous loss, and this vitreous loss is going and it can actually make the bullae called as bullous keratopathy. Bullous keratopathy, and this bullous keratopathy is actually present on the corneal endothelium. It is present on the corneal endothelium. So, this is how we have the vitreous touch syndrome. So, obviously, this is not a case of vitreous touch syndrome. Now, an important thing that I can have here is the retinal detachment. So, retinal detachment is a known complication in the late post-operative period of the cataract surgery, and if you remember, I told you in classes that this is more common in children. So, it is common either in children or in the old age. Okay. In children, actually it is common because of the dense adhesions. Because of the dense adhesions. So, what is the meaning of this? Suppose I have the eye here, okay, then we have the iris, the ciliary body, and this is your lens, okay. Now, posteriorly we have this vitreous cavity, something like this. Now, what is happening? Posteriorly I have the vitreous. So we have the gel-like structure which is present in the vitreous cavity, and this gel-like structure is condensing to form the membranes. So what are these membranes? We have anterior hyaloid membrane and we have this posterior hyaloid membrane, right? We have, this is your posterior hyaloid membrane, and this anteriorly we have anterior hyaloid membrane. Now what is happening? This anterior hyaloid membrane is attached with the help of a ligament. This ligament is a circular ligament. It is a circular ligament, and the name of this ligament is the Wiegert ligament. The name of this ligament is the Wiegert ligament. So you have got dense adhesions here. While this posterior hyaloid membrane is loosely attached. It is loosely attached. Okay. So what I am doing, when I am doing this extraction of this lens, okay, in cases of children specially. So when I am doing the extraction of this lens, that is phacoaspiration or lensectomy, lens aspiration, whatever you call it. So this will leave a traction on this anterior hyaloid membrane because of this ligament. From this anterior hyaloid membrane, it is going to this gel-like structure, and from this gel-like structure, it is going to this posterior hyaloid membrane. And posterior hyaloid membrane is attached to the retina very, very loose. So I can also have this traction on this retina. So I will have the retinal detachment. So this is actually the reason why we have more chances of retinal detachment in cases of children. Now if I talk about the old age, why you have more in elderly or old age. So look here, there are more chances of the retinal tear in cases of adults as they have given you that in the question also. So what is happening after the cataract surgery? Plus there are two things. Due to the surgery, trauma is there, plus due to the age, the chances of the retinal hole are very, very high. And most common shape of this retinal tear is the horseshoe shape. It is the horseshoe shape. While the most common quadrant is supratemporal quadrant. Most common quadrant is supratemporal quadrant, while the most common shape is the horseshoe shape. So what is happening? Now I will explain you one more interesting thing. Why actually retinal tear leads to the retinal detachment. So try to understand this. Suppose you have a outer layer, that is your pigmented layer. This red I am showing in order to show that this is a retinal pigment epithelium. So suppose I have this retinal pigment epithelium, and then we have rest of the retina. This is your neurosensory retina, okay. And then we have a gap in between the two, which is subretinal space having the subretinal fluid, okay. And here I have the lens here. Now what is happening? If I have a tear present, the horseshoe shape tear is present, and what do we have initially here? The vitreous, okay. Now aqueous humor. Aqueous humor actually contains 99.9% of water, that everybody knows. But you should also know that even vitreous humor contains 80% of the fluid. So even vitreous humor is also 80% water. So when you have this tear formation, whatever is the fluid that is present here, it is going slowly and gradually through this tear, and it is getting accumulated in this subretinal space, okay. So what is happening now? Due to the collection of this fluid in the subretinal space, there is actually separation that is taking place between the RPE layer and the neurosensory retina. So they are now getting separated, and this is the reason why I am getting this retinal detachment, also called as rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. So due to the aging also, we have got a lot of vitreoretinal traction. So it is this vitreoretinal traction. So due to aging also, we can have the vitreoretinal traction, which leads to retinal tear, and this tear actually leads to the rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. So that is the basic pathophysiology why you have more chances of retinal detachment. Now, if you look at the risk factors as a whole, what are your risk factors of the RRD? The risk factors of the RRD, like this was one risk factor, that was your pseudophakia. Pseudophakia was one risk factor that was due to the cataract surgery. Then it's more common in males, old age, okay. Then it could be due to trauma, then it could be due to aphakia, absence of the lens, right. Then I can have high myopia, I can also have the high myopia, I can have the lattice degeneration. So whenever you have got some degenerative changes present in the retina, then that can also lead to the rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. Okay, now because this rhegmatogenous retinal detachment has the vitreoretinal traction. So due to this traction, what is happening? Due to the vitreous traction and due to the retinal traction. Due to the vitreous traction, I will have the floaters, black spots in front of the eye. Due to the retinal, I will have photopsia. Photopsia means the flashes of light. So now the tear, the cataract surgery, the floaters, the photopsia, right, all these are interconnected, and whenever you have retinal detachment, you will have a curtain like effect because retina is falling in the visual field. So patient will have a curtain like effect, there will be grayish reflex. So if you are having this, what you are going to do? We are going to do a B scan ultrasound. So we are going to do a B scan ultrasound. This is your brightness scan. We are going to do the brightness scan, which is a 2D ultrasound, right? And it uses 8 to 10 megahertz frequency. So this kind of a picture you are going to see, we have got the shadow of the optic nerve. This is your optic nerve shadow that you are going to see. You have got a lens shadow, and can you see, this is your optic nerve head. So you are going to see a total funnel kind of a thing. This is called as the total funnel shape RD, total funnel shape retinal detachment. So this is a very significant feature. You are getting a funnel because, do you remember what was the extent of retina? It was from ora serrata to the optic disc margin. So from the ora serrata to this optic disc margin, it is forming a funnel. So when you are doing the ultrasound, you are getting the typical funnel shaped RD. Okay, so now come back to the question. The female, she is seeing photopsia, she is having floaters, it is sudden onset. Then you have the typical curtain like effect coming down. They are not complaining of pain. Okay, so again my dictum, sudden painless diminution of vision means posterior segment holds true here. Okay, successful cataract extraction 4 months back, so it is relating with the late post-operative complication. She has a retinal tear and a grayish reflex. So they have already done the indirect ophthalmoscopy, distant direct ophthalmoscopy. So had they been asking what is the investigation that you should do next, I think then answer again is B scan. Okay, what is the most probable diagnosis? So it's not choroidal rupture. It is the retinal detachment. CRAO, the history and examination will be entirely different. That is more common in males after 50 years of age, having thrombosis, embolism, hypertension, atherosclerosis. You have got the carotid artery, carotid artery block. Okay, central retinal arteriolar block we have got. Due to that, we have got the segmentation of blood column. You get pale retina giving a cherry red spot. So that scenario will be entirely different. And it is not a known complication after the cataract surgery. Similarly, if I am talking about exudative macular degeneration. Now, macular degeneration is mostly bilateral. Not only bilateral, symmetrical. Then you will have the typical, if I am saying that it is exudative, I should have the choroidal neovascularization. Okay. So that is again not the case here. So your answer is retinal detachment. So I think now you are getting a vision that what should be your approach. Your mind should start thinking why it is there, why this is not there, why this is not there. So if you are doing a clinical scenario in this way, you are going to learn 4 topics from one clinical scenario. You know why it is not choroidal rupture, or it's not exudative macular degeneration, or the CRAO. So I hope this is very, very clear. In case of any doubt, you can always ping me up on my any social media platforms. Okay, you can follow me on Instagram, you can visit my Facebook page. We have a huge family on Telegram and Facebook. You can be a part of it and take the advantage of the academic stuff and the motivational stuff there. So if you like the video, do hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also share the video to your colleagues, your juniors or seniors whom do you think will also be getting benefit. Because my main purpose of making these videos in this COVID crisis is to get you some idea about the clinical scenarios when you people are not able to actually see the cases in the wards. Thank you and happy ophthalmology.